Well, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. I'm really looking forward to today's chat. Joining me, I have Katie Rössler of Positive Connections. And what's really interesting with Katie is that she seems to be changing the language around being a mom. And more specifically, she's referring to moms as chief household officers because, let's face it, our lives are complicated. It's more than just one thing. So, Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be on here. Yeah, you said it right. In many ways, I'm changing how we see motherhood. We're still a lot in that traditional society of moms have a lot on their shoulders, are doing a lot. And so I like the term chief household officer, really for both partners. But for the most part, I tend to teach women how to be more productive in their homes and get things done without being so overwhelmed and really enjoy motherhood and recognize that a CHO or chief household officer, that position's a job. And so if I was in a traditional workplace and I might have forgotten something twice in a week, I wouldn't say I'm failing as whatever that job title is. I'd be like, man, I really got to work on reminders. I really, I gotta fix this. And as moms, if we forget the snack cup or we forget this or we didn't plan that thing, we're like, I'm failing at motherhood. Like something is wrong with me internally at a deep core level. And I just saw these moms beating each other up to such a level that I was like, guys, like you wouldn't do this in a traditional workplace. And it's not even about being a mom. It's about like time management. It's about project management. It's about, things like that. And so I try to help people divide that more so that they beat themselves up less in many ways and recognize they can work on that.
And what I really like about it is that, for years, there's always been that stigma with stay-at-home mom. Oh, do you work? Well, no, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, I work my ass off.
Like
and
24/7.
And then you have the moms that are working and still running the house. And it doesn't make a difference what role you're in. You're constantly being torn in different directions. And yes, I'm speaking from the perspective as a woman and a mom and the person that did take the lead in our household. And I understand that there are different situations. I'm just speaking from where I'm coming from. And especially when, I first became a mother, I felt like I was just not capable of knowing what my child needed. And I was constantly beating myself up over it.
Yeah, it's like we expect as soon as that child comes out of us, like, the extreme guide is already in our heads, like, the Matrix, it's been uploaded, we've got it, we know what to do. No,
But we don't talk about that.
Right. Like when did we stop being allowed to be a work in progress? Like you're allowed to be, as a student, you're allowed to not know things and you're allowed to grow. In your workplace, you're learning as you go. Why have we created this sort of viewpoint that we have to have it all figured out? And it's very scary because you've got this little life in front of you and you're like, what if I get something wrong? And unfortunately, we get scared of what if I say or do something wrong that puts them in such a place like they're coming to someone like me, a therapist, and having to go talk to them later on. Who cares? Yeah. We all have our mom and dad issues or whoever, like they're going to have those issues too. But we're so scared of messing up because we know we impact someone's life the rest of their lives. And it's a big, heavy weight, but we take it almost, this sounds weird, but too seriously.
Yes.
Instead of working on it, we just beat ourselves up over it.
Yeah, we do. And I don't know if that comes from, I was a kid, I grew up in the 80s and, the good old sitcoms were our go-to in the evenings. So we were fed all these messages about how families work. And even when the mother was working, there she is in her, full hair of makeup, making the kids eggs for breakfast in the morning and everyone's going off to school. So we're fed that unrealistic perspective of motherhood. Yeah. And you're constantly measuring yourself against that, or at least I found.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, even if you look at television today, even in shows on Netflix, and movies that are out, like we still haven't fought through all of those walls of what motherhood really looks like. Even the ones like I'm thinking, is it Working Mom on Netflix? That was from
Oh
Canada.
yeah.
That's come out. I
Yes, that
watched
was the
it.
go-to one.
Yeah, like I was watching and I was like, I get it. We're trying to like knock some walls down, but you left up some ones that probably should have been the ones you looked at first. Like I realized what they were trying to do to be less like all the others. But in that, they almost went the wrong direction. So there are just shows out there that either do the moms just don't give and like just whatever, or we have the super mom, and
Yes.
I don't like that it's you know wine at 3 p.m. and I hate life and let me laugh at my kids' pain, or I've got it all together and I've got everything ready and I've got cookies for the bake sale and stuff, and not this middle ground of like, it's tough, I love my kids, and like, I'm gonna figure this out, and if I don't figure something out, it's okay, like, you know let's support each other through that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's taken me, our kids are kids, they're not kids. They're 17 and 20. And it's taken me to this point to just be okay with the way things are and being okay when things aren't okay.
Right.
But, it's again, it was an illusion that you think that when your kids get to a certain age that, it's done, you're off, you've got an empty nest.
Right.
No,
No.
no, there is no empty nest. And they need you just as much, if not more, because now they're going out into the world and they're
Yeah.
trying to figure out all these things. So
Yeah.
it doesn't make a difference what age our kids get to. Well, I'm hoping at some point there's an empty nest. But
Right.
I'm hoping. But I love them. But um, there's always new challenges that we face as parents. And again, those conversations are not being held. Not that I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they need to be occurring in the home with the couple of just, I allow you to not have it all figured out. And, but, say it back and forth to each other, like, it's okay. And then from there in our friendships, like, and I don't know about you, but I actually found my mom friends, they're the most forgiving of all of my stuff. They're like, oh, girl, it's okay. It's like the other school moms, or it's moms. It's not even like dads that I get this feeling of judgment. It's like the other women out there, or even in social media, you sort of see these posts that make you go like, am I being judged for this thing? And then it like kicks back our like middle school days of being judged and like, oh gosh, I'm being watched, I'm doing something wrong. But in our homes, we need to be forgiving each other, and we need to be giving ourselves some grace in that, because we're going to mess up, and you got to be able to mess up in front of your partner. With your friend group, you need to have friends who allow you to be you and can encourage you and support you and also cry with you. And then the other outward like ring just doesn't need to matter as much.
Yeah.
Like if those core two rings are like thumbs up, we're going to get through this together, then the outside view, I would say, as much as we can go, they don't matter as much, and that's hard sometimes, but if
And
we can, it gives us a break.
And I guess that's a bit of a difference because social media wasn't a dominant contributor when our kids were little. When did Facebook come out in 2007? I think
Yeah.
it was. So, and it wasn't available on all of our devices and what have you. So it wasn't
Yeah.
as dominant in our lives. So I never had that feeling of people judging me in social media or anything. But there was always that sort of, for us, it was the competition at the playground. Who's doing what, and
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Sure.
what are you letting your kid do? Why are you letting your kid eat dirt?
Right. You're letting your kid eat that snack. Like,
I know. Oh yeah, the school, it used to drive me crazy. The school that my son went to, it was in Canada, or at least in Ontario, we have the public school board, but you also have the Catholic school board. And at the
mhm.
time, the Catholic school board was better funded. So we put our kids in there. Not that there's anything wrong with a public one. It was just, a choice. And my son kept getting in trouble because he wasn't coming to school with a God-made snack.
No.
That was the level of judgment was from the teacher. And finally I said to him one day, I said, well, can you explain to the teacher that God made the man that made the applesauce and put it in the container, so that counts? I didn't get very popular comments from the teacher on that one either. But I mean, that level of judgment, it comes from all different places. And I mean, sometimes you're just getting through, it's not even the day, it's that hour, it's that minute that you're thinking, motherhood is truly the ultimate roller coaster.
Yeah, I agree.
And, we can go from laughing and playing with our kids to something happens and all of a sudden we're a hot mess crying on the floor.
Or so angry and like yelling at our kids, and we're like, we were just enjoying each other. What happened, Mom?
You lose it.
Yeah. I agree. So as much as we can decrease that like external stress around us, or those relationships that really don't need to weigh as much on us, I think that can help us a lot in motherhood.
So what are some of the ways that you work with people and that you help them throughout their chief household operator? What are the tools and how do you help people?
Yeah, so I have courses online. I have one in particular program from stay-at-home mom to chief household officer, and then I also have the working mom version of that program too. And what I do is it's really like step by step through really looking at you as a mom. What are the stereotypes you're fighting up against regularly? And that basically helps me see like what standards are you putting on yourself, and help you kind of break through some of those and looking at what your values are, what matters. And then we go from that into like goal setting that actually makes sense, not the like looks good on Pinterest or, like, well, everybody else is doing it, but what are goals you actually want for you and your family? Creating a mission statement for yourself. Because like if we don't have something, it's kind of like a business, like you don't have a mission statement and you know why you're doing what you're doing and you're moving forward in the way you want to be, then life is going to be living you and you're not living life. So I guide moms through those steps, and then we get into housework, budgeting, meal planning. And it's all set up so that you're supposed to be talking with your family throughout this, because I don't want it to only be on the mom's shoulders. I want to really enable them and empower them to have those conversations that maybe they didn't have because it just kind of turned out this way. Well, I take care of the food because he doesn't really like to cook, but he might be an awesome meal planner. You just don't know. Like he might be able to get a great schedule going, and why not give him that job while you do the cooking? There's some things that if we just have those conversations, then we move forward. Then we talk about things like how to get out the door on time, like how to and for younger kids, what to do with that extra free time with your kids, especially summertime coming up. Like, what do you do with your kids? So I try to address it as it is your guidebook. You get a big 80-page workbook, and it becomes your operations and the manual of operation. How do I handle this? Even sick days, family crises, you're in it. You are creating a plan for everything so that you already have it set up, because often we just don't sit and plan. And that's why we get so overwhelmed.
And that's it, is that you tend to be very reactionary in what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always one that I would meal plan. I had everything on my calendar. I had everything marked down. I was a little bit of a fanatic with my calendar because I still like to write on a real calendar, but each person's events or what have you were written on the calendar, and then everyone was highlighted in their own particular color.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It's like, oh yes, that's you and that's you.
Yeah.
I also had a fetish with label makers and home organization, and I got my husband had to stop me at one point because everything had a plastic bin or a plastic basket, and everything was labeled, and
but you're I'm kind of going all the way with this.
Yeah, I'm all in.
But I bet that felt so good and you had organization in that area, but there was some other area that just felt like a hot mess. And
Oh,
because you
definitely.
knew how to do this and can control this, you were awesome at it.
Yes. There were
And
a
that is
couple
why,
of things I had, but that was it.
yeah, that is why
Everything
I
else.
say that our home, and I see this as a separate thing from being a mom in the sense of taking care of a home. Like, again, a man or a woman can be doing this, it doesn't matter. But it is like an entrepreneur of your home. And an entrepreneur in the beginning does it all. Like,
Yes.
they're covering all of it. So they need to have a plan and they need to be strategic and they need to be smart. Why am I spending time doing this right now when it's probably better to do it when the kids are home because I can do it with them? Or, looking at, hey, let me take Sunday nights to plan the week ahead. So on Wednesday, when I finally plan the week, I'm actually getting like, I get something done versus Wednesday being like, there's a birthday party on Friday and I'm not ready for this. And that
There's
kind of
no
thing.
gift, and where's the invite, and where's the
Right,
address? And
exactly. Like, yeah, I'm like, oh gosh, is with the parents, without the parents? That's we're at that age right now. Like, am I supposed to come or not come? How does this work?
yeah.
So it's things like that where I just wanted to create a program to help, um, even couples, if they'll do it together, to see if you just have a guide, you can figure this stuff out and you can create systems in your home so that, like, the parenting and working on your relationship and, really just enjoying laughing as a mom or crying as a mom is its own identity. It's its own thing. And the business side of things can be running, and it's the way that you run it, the way you want to. um, so that's how I in particular work with people when it comes to the chief household officer, um, program. I also have courses for how to kid-proof your marriage because I am a marriage and family therapist. So I make sure to cover how to have family meetings. I've got a guide on that. Like, I just really want to give everybody the tools and resources because often we give up on ourselves, our relationship, or things in our family because we just don't have the tools and we don't feel like we have the time. And I make everything really bite-sized so it's easy and impactful to go, okay, I've got 15 minutes right now. Let me listen to this course section. You know what? Whoa, okay. Like, let me mull over this for the next day and then create the plan. And it's really easy. Same with how to kid-proof your marriage. It's a topic a week. You and your partner can spend one 30-minute block at some point in the week watching the video, talking about it, and then implementing what I teach. Really try to make it easy. I'm there. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Like, I get that it's not easy to manage it all and do all these things and have time for your relationship, have time for yourself. But I think that's also lies we tell ourselves because I think we really do. It's about how we're using our time. And so that's what I like to teach.
Yeah, when it comes to, finding time for one another, that was always one thing. We were always very strict on bedtime. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's bath, pajamas, you can watch half hour of TV, and then it's bed, and don't you dare argue on it. My kids didn't. We were lucky.
Yeah.
And so we knew by, when they were little, 7:30ish, that's it.
Yep.
They were down for the night. And that was, we had our time to, decompress and breathe and chat and catch up and that. So, I mean, bedtime routine, I know a lot of people struggle with that. But for us, thankfully, that was pretty solid with us.
Yeah.
But what are some of the common problems that you're seeing, just so that people can sit there and say, oh, hey, I'm not the only one that is experiencing that? What are sort of, the top 3 things that you see reoccurring and challenges that you're dealing with?
When it comes to chief household officers, I would say that the top 3 are just feeling so overwhelmed and not sure where to start. Like, I know I need to plan, Katie. I don't even know where to begin. Like, can you like, how do I work on this? I just feel overwhelmed. Another thing I notice is disconnect from, like, your mom village, like really even creating a support network or friendship, feeling very lonely, feeling very isolated. That has been a theme that I hear regularly. And I know I felt in the beginning of, after I gave birth to my first I felt it the first 6 months until I joined, I joined one of those, it's called stroller strides or Fit for Mom, where you like go and work out in the
Okay.
local parks. And I was like, I'm getting out of the house. Like, I'm just going to do something. Cause I had a friend for 6 months. As soon as I had the baby, start going, as soon as you can start working out, you come, I've got a group for you. And I was like, no, that's not my thing. No. I was like, finally, I was like, I feel so lonely. I'll go work out with the moms in the local mall. I will do it. And then I loved it. And I found my village that way. And then we moved here to Germany. And like, I realized the tools I use there, I need to do here and find that village too, because the isolation is so awful when you just feel like you're so alone and it gets in
That
your
it,
head.
that, oh, definitely I can relate to that. When our youngest was a year and a half, so the oldest would have been 4.5. We moved from Ottawa to the Toronto area where we knew no one. And my husband was working downtown Toronto, so he's got, a good hour and a half commute each way. So he was gone easily 12, 14 hours a day. And I was on my own in a place where I knew no one. And it did get painfully, painfully lonely. And we didn't even have social media. I remember one day, like, just, and those moments where you're just sad and you're alone and you're crying. I sent him an email and I'm like, oh, I just need to talk, whatever. When you have a minute, call
Yeah.
me. But he didn't get it for like 2 hours. And he came home that day and he's like, babe, you should have just messaged me. I'm like, what?
What?
What? Remember, this was like 2004. And he's
Yeah,
like,
just message
yeah,
me.
I'm going to say, what was it called? Google Messenger, I think it was.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
and it's like a live chat. I'm like, what? It was
Like,
like,
honey, do you realize what
I
you just
can
told
like,
me?
I
Like,
can
I think
like talk to you and we can
all
chit chat
day.
back and forth. I mean, it was just like,
Yes. Yeah. Oh my
it
God.
was like little things like that just,
Yeah.
gave you that, that space that you're not alone, because it did
Yeah.
take time to get to know the other moms and, arrange play dates and what have you. So it can be very lonely, especially if you're relocating.
Oh, completely. And what's interesting is like, I found if I would go to the local library and do like the little baby and me classes and they sing and they, and read a story to them. And I looked around at the other moms, they all had the same, like, I don't want to look you in the eyes because I don't know if you want to be, like, do you want to talk to me or not? And,
Yeah.
I'm a bit introverted, so I don't, and then me as the extrovert was always like, hi, everybody.
Yeah.
And I realized they feel just as lonely as I do and don't know what to say or do. And so big advice I always give new moms is like, just say hello to everyone and ask if they want to meet for coffee, and then you can
Yeah.
decide if you like them or not. But in the beginning, you're all lonely unless they come in with a group of 5 people. And even then, so they'll be like, girl, come join our tribe because we know, we
We
know
know
when
what
you
it's
need it.
like. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think that's, it gets in our head. We don't see a way out. And yet if we were back in middle school, high school, elementary school, we would have just said hi and talked to the person, or found some way of like
Yeah.
really having a discussion. And all of a sudden we become moms and it's like, eh. So social skills done. Not sure how to do this. Um, One problem I see commonly with couples, and I see this, I do have a private practice here with couples, is we don't know how to date anymore. Like once we have, like, we're the same way. The kids are in bed, and even my husband and I sometimes are like, we've got like 2 hours. What do we do? I mean, I guess we'll put on the television. Like you just feel like you get less creative all of a sudden. You're exhausted. You've been creative with your kids all day, and then you're like, now what do we do? Um, so I regularly advise people when you do get a date night, whenever that is, stop just going out to a restaurant because that's guaranteeing like a fight or silence or staring at your phone nowadays. Like there's not great interaction. So go do something fun. Go interact with each other in a different way. Do things you used to do when you were dating. Go find a concert that you want to go and listen to finally. If we learn how to date again, that helps with the connection. But often we're just so depleted from our jobs, whatever they may be, we sit down on the couch and like we might hold hands and we might laugh at something and go, oh, that was funny, but we don't talk anymore. But
Yeah.
amazingly, we're able to talk to our best friends real easily, right? And then we're like, our partners is our best friend, right? Well, we don't talk anymore on that level, unless it's like the kids, the plan, the job, like those kinds of things. It's not, what do you
Yeah,
mention?
you're talking about the functions of family life.
You're talking about the CHO stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not talking about, interests and hobbies and conversations and what's going
Yeah.
on and that. So yeah, there's, I can definitely remember a period of time where, we went through that, but that was just the way, I don't want to say the way things were, but like you said, you don't know any better. You don't know how to you don't know how to do things differently. So
Right. Right.
you don't know that there's a choice. I mean, and that's the great thing now with, you know, with what you're doing, what other people are doing online with sharing their knowledge and sharing their resources, is that the information is available for people out there. And that's why
Yeah.
it's important as much as we can is to have those conversations. And I always encourage people to be open and transparent. You
Yes.
know, like one of the worst words that we use as women is the F word.
Oh, what's the F word?
Fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And I've only recently started trying to not use that word. Is instead of
Yeah.
saying I'm fine, it's like, no, actually, I'm really tired right now.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
cranky.
Got a lot on
Stay
my plate.
away. My
Yeah.
brain is full. Just give me some space.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'm actually doing great today.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's easier to say the goods usually, but I think sometimes we get in the habit of fine that we don't give any type of real answer.
I think for years, maybe even a decade, that was my answer to everything.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. And my husband would go, I'm looking at you. I know you're not fine. Just not, I don't want to talk about it. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And the more that we say those things, the more our brain, like cognitively, is like, okay, like, pushes back everything else that we're feeling. Because it's like, well, I'm saying I'm fine, so I'm going to act like I'm fine. I'm going to show I'm fine. And then we're just stuffing it, and we're just unhappy. So I love that you're being more authentic in that. I think that's important. And I think moms at any stage need to be that way.
And that's it is, I'm trying to encourage as many people as possible is to say, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
This is what's bothering me. And it's just, it's going to take time
Yeah.
because we're always, again, it comes back to judgment.
Yeah.
And sometimes as a mother, I didn't want to feel like I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Completely.
how can you be there with two kids and, you're renting a house and you don't have a clue what you're doing? Because I was never, we were never taught that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. I always laugh when I'm in with a couple in marriage therapy that I'll be like, oh, my husband and I were arguing about this the other night too, and they kind of have these eyes, and I'm like, yes, couples therapists argue too. Like, I don't have it all figured out. Like I'm human and he's human. Like every human, the group, like they come together, it's different interactions. So we're not all going to have it figured out. And it's much easier to teach you how to do it than always to work on it myself in my relationship, because I sure as heck am not our couples therapist. So, but as moms, like that feeling like no one, even if it looks beautiful on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever, they are still crying at times. They are still struggling. They still have moments with their kids where they're impatient. I mean, I wouldn't be looking, honestly, I don't know that I would look through a wall of photos of angry moms. Like, yelling at their
Oh
kids. Like,
okay, that would be hilarious if for one day all the moms on Facebook only posted chaotic pictures.
yeah, like the truth of how you're feeling, and show it on your face, and show the video of how you're talking to your kid or how you're talking to your partner. Like just show it real life. I think also as a therapist, I'd be like, it's so hard for me to look at these photos because I want to be like, hey, here's some resources.
like I can fix this. I can
fix
fix this.
But then I'd be like, here's my own photo. Here's my own thing. We as a society tend to like really beautiful things, nice things. So of course our feeds, our pages are going to look that way, but that doesn't mean it's all of our reality. And I think that's the piece. Just remember, it's not all of the reality.
Right. It's just
I
a segment in time.
Yeah, completely. I was sharing with you before we started recording, I lost my mom in October, and the whole like, how are you doing question gets asked a lot. And I'm very honest with people where I am that day. You know, when I'm angry at everyone today. Or like I'm so sad and I barely could get out of bed. Like I'm honest about those things. But I will have people say, it seems like you're doing so well. And I'm like, because I posted a smiling face, you know, like why does it seem like I'm doing so well? Because honestly, I'm especially on my Facebook wall, I'm very honest about like, this was hard. Like here I am, you know, this is what the weekend was like. And I tend to be very, not blunt, but just reassuring that this is grief and this is what it really looks like. Because I don't want, if I post smiling with a friend, then it equates, she's good. Like nobody's good when they lose a parent. It's the same. Nobody's good when they've got a screaming toddler at home. Nobody's good when they're not getting sleep on a regular basis. So it's okay if they post a smiling photo.
Yeah.
Like
It
it's
doesn't mean
okay.
it doesn't mean everything's fixed. But going back to your comment about people asking you, how are you doing? I heard, I can't remember where it was, but it was a therapist say that when we're dealing with somebody that's grieving, you're not supposed to ask, how are you doing? You're supposed to ask, how are you doing today?
Yeah. Yeah. Even like, how are you right now?
Yeah, because again, it can change. You can go up
Yeah.
and down. I remember when my father-in-law passed away and we were at his funeral. You'd go from 1 minute, something you would see, and it would just give you the giggles. You know, here
Yes.
you are in this sad situation and you're trying to control
Yes.
your giggles. Then to the next minute, you're like crying your eyes out.
Yeah. 100%. Like grief is its own, you know.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah. When I get through this first year, a book is coming out of me. Like
Yeah,
I'm going to birth
yeah.
a book
The
because it's just so much. Yeah.
Yeah, the first year is it's the first year of the firsts.
Yeah. The first year of the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah.
So, what are some of the key takeaways that you want listeners, whether they're moms or dads,
Mhm.
to that they can easily implement into their life or their relationships, so that they can just begin to chip away at how they're running their houses and how their families are coming together, just to relieve some of this stress and pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah. I think the first one is develop the affirmation, I am a work in progress, and like say that
Mm.
on a regular basis. I think that's really important. Because even it goes again to saying like, I'm fine, I'm fine. It always pushes things down. Saying I'm a work in progress allows to like let out the imperfection and be okay with those things. I think something I would really encourage, families to start doing, whatever stage they're in, is family meetings, like once a week, really sitting down and talking about the plans for the week, who's doing what, getting everybody on the same page. Is there the birthday party on Friday? Who's buying the gift and when are we buying it? And like, so it's not always on one person's shoulders, but it's a teamwork kind of atmosphere. Um, that is a tool. Like I've even created the family meeting blueprint success guide, because it's like, let me just get this out here and teach you. It's not hard to start doing this. It's very easy and your kids can be involved in it. The other tool I would say is, it's like I said about the date nights, like connect with your partner, learn how to date again, learn how to be friends again, and step outside of the, well, we always do this. Well, we always go out to eat. We always go to a movie. We always like go to the climbing wall, go for a walk together, go ride bicycles, go whatever it might be. Like go do something different out of the norm. Break old habits. I can't tell you how many couples I've said, can you write this down on a piece of paper and like put it on your fridge, put it on the bathroom mirror, like break old habits. When you get into the routines that are not helping you grow, just break old habits. And sometimes all it means is writing that on a piece of paper and really putting it up and going, oh yeah, let's do something different tonight. Like, let's just do something different. Let's, whatever that might be.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Now, where is it that people can find you? Where's the best place for people to connect?
Best place for us to connect is through my website, positive-connections.com. From there, you can find my Instagram, my Facebook, all of that. find my videos. I have a YouTube channel and podcasts I've been on, like this one. I like to put my podcast on there so that you guys get noticed, but also you can hear the things I've been talking about. And the courses are on there too. So if you heard of one today that you're like, yep, let's do this, that's on there.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure that the link to your website is in our show notes.
Thank you very much.
And thank you again for joining me. I know for you, you're in Germany and you're what, 6 hours ahead of me?
It is 7. It's 9:45 at
7.
night.
So you are ready for a glass of wine in bed.
Yes, definitely. Well, enjoy your day.
Thank you. And we'll definitely have you back to chat some more about
That
this.
would be great. Thank you.